Now, just a few points. One, and I know the two CEOs will be talking about this in detail, is to tell you that our economy is growing very, very fast, and there are lots of opportunities to invest at home. And as you are aware, our priority areas are on the Big Four agenda. His Excellency, the President, has guided us that we focus on 4 key areas, and that is manufacturing, health, real estate, and food security. And today, the two CEOs, of course, will be talking about real estate, a very, very important area for the country. And I would encourage you all to pay a lot of attention and try to ensure that you join us in investing in our country back home.
3 years ago, we had a discussion with the company CEO, and we decided to spread our wings, because some of the key things in a company is growth. So we decided to venture into other countries. So one of the countries was United Kingdom. I came in 2016, October. Very, very, very difficult reception from people in the UK at the time. If you do remember, I used to have meetings, and out of say 50 people, 40 would say, oh, it's just another briefcase company. That's the way it was. Very, very unreceptive market at the time. But I must say, we have stayed on consistently. We have focused. We have pushed on. We have delivered. And we are here 3 years on with an office, with people from the diaspora right now who believe now that we can deliver. And I want to say thank you so much for giving us that chance to be here in the UK and accepting us.
We've come as HERI Homes with a team of Centum, who are doing the Centum Re, and we are now, this time round, we come as one of their marketing partners. But just before we go to that, maybe because I can see some of our investors here, I would just like to reassure even those who have invested with us and those who haven't, that this year alone, HERI Home has actually handed over 426 units. In terms of those who are looking at it as an investment opportunity, they at least been able to make a return on investment of between 8 to 14%, depending on at what point you plugged in. Those who came before we break ground, for example, you're buying a unit at 4 million, and to us, and you're fetching a rental income of 40,000, that means you're at least making a good return on investment.
The reason I said I'm surprised when people don't know Centum is one way or the other. If you've been in Kenya, you cannot avoid to interact with Centum, directly or indirectly. Because we definitely take Coca-Cola, obviously, or Dasani, if you don't like fizzy drinks. Centum has always owned the Coca-Cola businesses in Kenya. We own four Coca-Cola bottlers in Kenya owned by Centum, so Nairobi bottlers, Kisii bottlers, Mount Kenya and Rift Valley bottlers have always been owned by Centum. I don't know if we knew that. Yeah? Yes, that's what I'm saying. You must somehow interact with Centum. The way Coca-Cola operates, Coca-Cola does not own bottlers. Yeah? The bottlers are privately owned. Coca-Cola gives them a franchise to bottle the drinks. So Centum has always been invested in the 4 Coca-Cola companies. Between our 4 Coca-Cola bottlers, we control about 75% of the Kenyan market. Probably again, few people would know that we own the Isuzu assembly plant along Mombasa Road. Did we know that? Yeah, again, we own that plant. As I said, we've always been part of the initial capital. So we jointly own the Isuzu plant. It used to be called General Motors. We jointly own that plant with ICDC and with Isuzu now of Japan. The group is headed by James Moria. He's the group CEO. I'm not the group CEO. James Moria heads our business. He took over in 2008. When he was appointed, he was the youngest CEO of a listed company at only 30. And I guess it takes very visionary people to see a 30-year-old as a potential leader of a listed company. When James took over, the company had assets of about 8 billion shillings. Today, without any new capital, without any new injection from our shareholders, we've grown this business to about $710 million in total assets of 71 billion Kenya shillings. And that really speaks to what we do. It's a company we are very proud of, not just as Centum, but as Kenyans, because it is an indigenously, it was incorporated by Kenyans. It's been managed ever since by Kenyans, and it is really one of the pillars that drives our economy. So it's a company we are proud of. So sometime back in 2008, we decided to, invest in real estate. Until 2008, we really didn't have any significant real estate holdings. But because we are Centum, the idea was not to do single standalone type of properties. So we made a decision that we will develop cities within East Africa, cities within cities. When I think of comparable concepts here in the UK, I can think of Wembley Park. I've been to Wembley Park. So Wembley Park is similar to the ideas we have. I do remember when we were doing Two Rivers, one of the inspirations was actually Canary Wharf. So the idea is within the cities of East Africa, which tend to have planning problems, we will acquire land, we will plan, we will develop new cities or urban nodes within those cities, well planned to the highest possible standard anywhere in the world.
So if I was a buyer for an apartment off plan right now, what are some of the factors that I would consider as I make my decision? So the first one would be the profile of the developer, and Sam has mentioned on that. We've seen that we have a very good track record. We've done Two Rivers, Palmarina, and Vipingo. Now the other one, which I'll touch on, is on location. So initially you saw the picture that Sam put up. So that's the city that is taking shape, and we are quite proud of that. Say if you bought an apartment at Cascadia, you'd have access to over 200 shops. Within that, you have about 20 food and beverage restaurants. You'd have Carrefour, the largest Carrefour in East Africa. You also have access to fashion outlets, some chemists, and we're also working on a hospital. So it's truly a city that is taking shape.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've listened. It's amazing what we've heard, but we'd like to make it real. And today we say it's DiasporaSpeaks. And we've been told how much us in the diaspora are putting so much money in Kenya. The first question I would ask you who are sitting there is, how much of that money is going to investment? Because we could do so much, but yet we're not investing for our future. So time for us to think about investing wisely. So first, I would like to say thank you very much to CEO HERI Homes, because 2 years ago you came here, we talked to you, you listened. We said a lot of us are investing in Kenya. Companies come here, they get us so excited about products. They go back to Kenya and we never hear from them again. What did HERI Home do? They brought an office in London, whereby they are quite accessible. That is the first thing I would like to say for a company that, for me to sit here is because I believe we need to invest wisely in a way with a company that actually is accessible. The first question to you, though, is HERI Home has a lot of affordable homes. How are you able to maintain such affordability so as well the diaspora can be able to afford it?
Yeah, thank you for that. First, affordability is for you to be able to have a house, to make a house affordable, the first thing you need to look at too is the cost of interest. And as you know, our model has been more like an equity model, whereby 30% of our construction costs comes from equity, and the other 70% has always come from what we call social capital, which is what we say the money pulled together from the pre-sales. So with that, you're able to avoid the cost of interest. And cost of interest in a project is almost 30%. The other thing is, when you do a big project, you're able to have what you have, economies of scale. And economies of scale, of course, results to a lot of savings. So those are some of the things. Then also, we use some very professional architects And one thing that also architects can help you in reducing your cost of the project is by designing and avoiding having a lot of circulation areas. There's a way you can design your house with minimal circulation area, because circulation area, you don't end up not paying for that. So and not over-designing, also using engineers who are professional, who end up not over-designing. By so doing, you're able to reduce the cost. And also good, efficient project management. Project management also, done efficiently, results to minimization of privileges, minimization of all theft in the sites, and such things can help you. Any small bit saved in the site helps towards reduction of cost. And also there, lastly, is the time you take during construction. If you take a minimal time, that is when you have a good project manager, then you're able to, when you save on time, you also save on cost. That's how we've been able to reduce and efficiently be able to offer affordable housing to Kenyans.
Well, this is the first time a lot of us are hearing about Centum, because as you've heard, they were saying, no, we have not heard. So why the interest in the UK at this time?
Thank you for that. I think for the longest period where we've had consumer-facing businesses, they've been on the FMCG sector. Within our real estate, until last year, our focus has primarily been on large mixed-use developments, and it was more of a business-to-business play. Effective last year is when we've then moved to residential units development, which then means from a real estate perspective, we are now engaging on a retail type business-to-consumer type of play. And obviously with the diaspora here and diaspora elsewhere, with the investments that you're making back home, I think it's a very good captive market.
Thank you very much. And for HERI Homes, you've got a lot of wonderful projects in the market. How are you able to, or rather, what measures do you put in place to maintain quality?
Thank you for that. First is by engaging professionals. And the other thing also is most of the time you realize many people, when you start, you engage a professional, but when it comes to supervision, you don't engage the same. So we engage the professionals at the design stage, and also we also engage the same professionals during the supervision. So that's actually one of the key. And so most of these professionals, they also sign some indemnity. Then you have several. We have project managers, and you also have the architects and the engineers who are also involved in the supervision. Plus also we have a director who is in charge, and a team, part of the board, we have a design committee, which is also in charge of quality.
Fantastic. What is the average completion time of the Cascadia apartment for people who are even not here? There are people who are watching today. It's live, so they're asking those questions. What is the completion time?
For Cascadia specifically, the time contracted is 139 weeks, which works to about 30 months or just 2.5 years. We would aim for less, but that's the average time that we expect it to take. As you've seen, it's well, I don't call it a complex project, but it's a high-end product. Well priced, but high-end. And therefore that 30 months is a good estimate of time.
Well, fantastic. I mean, what are the challenges have you faced when you're doing this, especially when you're engaging with the diaspora? And how have you managed to really get over those challenges for the HERI Homes, because I think you've been in the diaspora more?
First, I think the biggest challenge is for clients to trust you. And how we've been able to manage that? First, we are very good at updating our clients on the progress. Every month, we always update them on what is happening. And that over time has led them to build some confidence. And also, of course, keeping your word. And whenever there's any small delay, we communicate. And over time, we've always kept our promise. We've always sold an investment model. And right now, as we talk, quite a number of clients are already enjoying some rental income. Some actually have been able to sell their properties and realize the capital gains. And that's why you can come 2 years later and confidently face the clients, because you know what we promised, we've actually kept. We say, so actually, we are a company that actually keeps our promises. And as HERI stands for, as the name HERI stands, H stands for honesty, which is actually true. We actually walk the talk. E stands for excellency. We've given you excellent product. And R stands for the respect, which we've actually a summation of how our relationship with the client, and the I is integrity. So we've walked the talk. So the biggest challenge has actually been building that confidence with our clients. And right now, we are actually happy that we've been able to do that. Thank you. Thank you.
And for the last question, I would like to ask you, return on investment on these two rivers projects.
Cascadia specifically, if you are an investor in real estate, you have two returns. One is the rental yield, purely my rental cash flow divided by my valuation of the asset. Two is the capital appreciation. If you just speak of the average rental yield for residential projects, the average in Kenya is 6 to 8%. So on this one, the aim then should be in the same range, about 8% rental yield. That's your monthly cash flow. But the other most important, and probably the most important source of return is the capital appreciation. The immediate one, if you're buying immediately, obviously, as soon as we break ground or as soon as the project is completed, your asset is valued higher. And then over time, there's just a general appreciation of the values. So you're talking of a lifetime sort of return averaging 15% plus.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any last thing you would like to say to the diaspora? One word you would like to say to the diaspora? Just one word.
First, we are actually looking at getting to get more views from most of you on exactly the need, so that even as we continue bringing more and more products to you, we want to make sure these products are need-driven. That way, we are a company that our vision is not really the bottom line, but our vision is to partner with you and be able to address your needs. We know investment in real estate is one of the most expensive or long-time or biggest investment one makes in life. So when you're making that investment, we don't want you to a situation whereby you take little time to make that decision. So we want to really understand the need you have, and that way we'll be able to address your need so that you don't make a mistake in that. Thank you.
And for you?
I like the question you asked. If $3 billion is being sent back home annually, how much of that is going to investment? I also like a question that was asked earlier about affordable housing and the government program. If I may combine the two, what Fanta said is today we have a deficit of 2 million units. The way the government of Kenya is defining the opportunity is that it wants to support Kenyans to own homes, affordable homes. The way we see the opportunity from an investment perspective is that affordable rentals in Nairobi and other cities is a need. People need to stay or to live in well-regulated neighborhoods, in well-planned neighborhoods, as opposed to the current situation where they live in this sprawl of unplanned flats. And therefore, in the next decade or in the next 2 decades, there is nothing as a country we are doing now or we are going to do to meet this demand. It's today an inexhaustible demand for the need for affordable rentals. So it's a huge investment opportunities. As you're thinking about your own investments, just know, regardless of how the economy is performing, people still must live in decent housing, and today that is lacking. Yeah. So yeah, I like the question. Where are you investing? Am I investing in the right sectors? And affordable housing is a prime investment opportunity at the moment.
Thank you very much. Those are the few questions I had. And for me to finish, I would like to say most of us are investing mostly for inheritance for our children. And if you have a plot somewhere that you're not using, it's time for you to sell that and buy a flat that can actually be bringing income for your children when you're here. Using companies that are credible enough to be able to send such kind of returns to your children, because you can have so many plots that our children will never access because they don't know how they can actually go and get them. So some of you are saying they don't have the cash. You probably do have the cash if you can actually sell a few of your plots to actually buy one of the Cascadia apartments. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Commander?
Maybe one last comment, just on that note of the land issue. To me, I'll say people in the diaspora, as a country is growing and as a country is developing, as you all know here, it's better for you to have a property as opposed to land. Because a time will come when land might stop appreciating, and what will appreciate is actually land that one has put a value at. So it will be encouraging, just as the co-host has actually said, if you have a plot, it's better for you to sell it right now when there's still capital appreciation. Because as the country keeps on growing, as we keep on expanding to the counties, a time will come where your land will not appreciate, it will only appreciate subject to you putting a value in it, which is what happens around there in the Western countries. But when you have a property will give you cash flows, and that's a measurement of value in real estate, whereby you get real money and real value. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Just one burning question, please. Just this one burning question from Bishop Arui here. Thank you.